So I know what you're all saying. Didn't I see this guy and my cousin Vinny? I have 2 Utes. So it is really a pleasure to be here, and Pat, thank you for the invitation. I was aware of the Buckeye State. I was aware of the Buckeyes, but until I got here, I didn't understand the passion of Ohio football for a couple of reasons. One, we don't have a football team in the East that you could really be passionate about, and really, come to think of it, we don't have a professional team in the East that you really feel passionate about. I'm thinking about asking, can I borrow Hunter Mayhem for the Giants or the Jets soon? So, to me, when I came here, people described Ohio to me as less stressful and a better quality of life. So what I found when I first got here was, my first home. So I live downtown Columbus. My wife and I are empty nesters, so we wanted to live in the city, and we rented an apartment. The apartment was $1,800 a month, so I had reverse sticker shock in New York City. It was 2,000 square feet, had a balcony, parking, a gym, doorman building. My daughter lives in New York. She pays probably $500 more than, about $1,000 more than that, and you can touch the walls in her bedroom, and there's no window. So to me, it was, wow, this is great. What a great way to live in the city. Secondly, I was having my cable installed, and I gave the gentleman a gratuity. I gave him $20. So in New York, when you give somebody $20, you're kind of lucky if they don't spit in your hand. Here, I think he wanted to name his firstborn after me. So gratuities go a lot further here than they do back east. And then my first day at the office, it was about 6:30. I worked a full day. I made sure everybody left before the boss left. It was my first day. And so I said, okay, now I'm going to commute home. And I set myself up for what I know is a long commute, which is pretty long. I was home in 11 minutes. That has never happened to me before. In New York, 11 minutes, you move 11 feet. You got to pack a snack when you commute out of New York. So to me, that was amazing. But to me, the most pleasurable thing was the airport. So again, I'm sitting in my office. It's 11 o'clock. I got a 1:15 flight. I tell my assistant, I said, I'm going to the airport now. And she didn't know me very well. She kind of gave me a funny look. I said, my flight's at 1:15. I leave 2 hours before the airport. I was sitting at the gate at 11:20. I got to know Bob Evans really, really well for 2 hours. So everything they said about Ohio, absolutely correct. Less stressful and a better way of life. So I really am excited to be here. My Ohio adventure started in February of 2020. The COVID started March of 2020. So I had really 3 good weeks in Ohio. But that's when I saw Ohio's best, to be very frank with you all. I saw its people, I saw its policies, and I saw its politics. So in Central Ohio, I have about 3,000 people, probably a little bit more. And to me and my leadership team, their safety and soundness was most important. But it wasn't just the way myself and my leadership team approached it. It was the way that the people approached it. They were practical. It was a pragmatic approach. They didn't panic. And if you saw the East Coast and West Coast, there was a lot of panic. People just didn't panic. And lastly, they helped each other, which was foreign to me, people helping each other. So they helped each other. So I felt that we had a good sense that people would care for people. And I think the policies here were great. Ohio followed the science. They listened to what the experts said. They didn't debate it. They weren't trying to drive an agenda. They listened to what the experts said. And it was a practical approach to keep people safe and sound. And I think they protected their people. I think Ohio protected its people very well. And last for me was the politics of this all. Despite different parties, political beliefs, politicians on both sides of the aisle put their constituents first. I saw that here in Ohio. Now, I didn't see that back on the East Coast. On the East Coast, governors and mayors were fighting for airtime, fighting for the spotlight to push their political agenda forward, and a book deal or two. But here in Ohio, it was, let's put our people first. And I think that worked extremely well. I think Governor DeWine's approach, in my view, was common sense, an empathetic approach, and refreshing change from the partisan politics of the East Coast. So as I traveled back and forth, you can really see the difference. Somebody that cares for their constituents and somebody that cares only to push their own agenda forward. So it was a really nice relief to see that. In my view, the governor and his leadership team, they led the state. They led the state of Ohio. They didn't lead a political party. And I think Ohio's come out stronger for that particular reason. So here I am, 2+ years later. I'll talk about Bread Financial, and some of you may know Bread Financial formerly as Alliance Data Systems. So we changed the name to Bread Financial. We've emerged stronger from the pandemic. We have a stronger balance sheet. We have more products and services than we have prior to going into the pandemic, and we have a stronger team. A lot of that was made possible by the people, the policies, and the politics of Ohio, and I really thank Ohio for that. So Central Ohio is our headquarters, and it will remain so, because Ohio is fair to business. There's an abundance of talent and the ability to attract talent to Ohio, which I'm finding that's how we're staffing our organization. There's inclusion and diversity and equity, and it's not just words. You can see it, it's a tone from the top. And there's a lot of philanthropy in this, in Ohio, and really, a real cause that, the environment is important. So as I go through the state, I see a number of places where you have the opportunity to, get to charge your electric cars and a whole host of things. So I'm really, really pleased to see that as well. So in my view, it's a great place to work and live. I've been here 2.5 years. I've drank the Kool-Aid, so go Buckeyes. And thank you for your time. I do have just 2 questions or kind of minor beefs. One is you cut your pizza here really funny. I'm used to 8 slices. It's a lot of squares. It's good, but there's a lot of squares. And secondly, at the break, if anybody could tell me of a really good Chinese restaurant in Columbus, I would really appreciate it. So that's an East Coaster's perspective. Midwest is an interesting title because to me, we're down the middle. And I think that's really important. And I think that really makes Ohio very attractive to myself and other constituents. Thank you very much. I'm happy to take some questions.
Thank you, Ralph. That was terrific. We're so glad you're going to remain in Ohio and under a new name and a growing business model. And by the way, on a personal note, it's great to have another guy without a vowel at the end of his name who likes Italian food in Central Ohio. And we've had an opportunity to share some good Italian food. So we have a few minutes for just a couple questions. We've got Remy here who's got a microphone. If someone has a question from an East Coaster who loves Ohio, while we're maybe thinking about that, if you had a 30-second elevator speech to give me or one of our CEOs here who's from Ohio on what is the best 30-second message as to why another CEO outside of Ohio should look at Ohio to relocate, from someone from your perspective, what would be the abridged version?
Yeah, so I would break it down into 3: talent, convenience of location, and quality of life. I think those 3 things to me are very meaningful. You can attract talent and keep it here, and it's convenient, to get in and out of Ohio, and particularly in Columbus. And third, for me, there is a very nice quality of life here, and it's just an outdoor city, and it's very enjoyable.
Very good. Last opportunity. Ralph, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
Thank you very much.